What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nasty Podcast. It's your boy Nasty coming at you with another episode. On this episode, we have a special guest. He's a very good friend of mine, known him for many, many years, and he just dropped a hot project out that I really want to discuss and promote and just talk about all around. So, without further ado, I want to welcome today's guest, my man Nate Nix.
Yes, sir. What's going on, everyone? Happy to be here.
Yo, good looks for coming on the podcast, man. Like I was telling you before we started, I'm really excited to talk about your album, man.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Anytime. Like, I'm a huge fan of the podcast, and like you said, we go way back, so it's always lit. It's just a conversation. It's good times, bro.
Facts, facts. I mean, how many years has it been now? Like, it's probably
Fuck.
like
Like,
going on a decade or more,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Facts. It's like 12. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So I'm really excited to have you on today and talk about the album, which, in my opinion, is one of the hottest projects to have dropped in recent time. It's fantastic, and I have so many favorite tracks and favorite songs. But I want to give you a chance to talk about it too. Human Guile is your
Yeah.
first debut album, your first official project.
Yep.
Um, but what went into that? Like, how did you actually produce that, and what was it like to work on creating that project?
Yeah, it was I felt like the project was like many months in the making. I started off just doing a lot of like reading for real. Like I was recognizing like some of the similarities that I found between like the Harlem Renaissance and like what I see going on in Boston right now with our like Boston and like the greater Boston area with our music scene. It was just like there's so many different artists that are being like funded and like pushed to do this like artistry work and uplift like the voices of those who have historically been marginalized and like oppressed and pushed down, kind of like silenced by the city and by like public officials, by the arts team. So it's just been like after seeing those parallels and just doing that research, reading into it, I was like, I want to like pay homage to like that era of like art while also creating something that's modern, something that's fresh, and something that really resonates with me and like the sounds of the city. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah,
it was really just like wanted to put all those things together while also talking about topics and things that were important to me, things that I face like on a consistent basis. Like that phrase like human guile comes from the poem the mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar, and it was just like this debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile. It was like that always is a line that's like stuck with me. You know what I mean? Because like every day, that's something that we have to live with. It's like who we see ourselves as is like oftentimes like a reflection of how others see us, and like in order to move past that, like recognizing is like a first step. So it's kind of how I wanted to bring that to life. But the process was dope, getting to be in the studio, and like I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be a recipient of the PASM Iguana Fund or the Iguana Music Fund grant, which funded like the entire project, so I didn't have to pay out of pocket to go to the
oh
studio,
word,
which was fire. Like that was a brand new experience. Like I never like been able to just like pop in and out of like a studio, just have my time paid for, and just like not even have to worry about it. It was fire. So that was out, and I recorded the entire thing song like sonically, song wise, at Phoenix Down Studios in Somerville with my engineer Josh. He's a fullest. He's doing his thing. So I was very fortunate to be able to like be in a position to do that. Um, yeah, I feel like that's like really the making of it. Some of the demos that I recorded for the project, I recorded with Jared actually,
hey,
like
okay, okay,
super early last year in like February, January, February. And it was just like wow. I was like wow, this is it's like me and Tomo like pulled up, and then Tomo like produced a couple of tracks on the project, and he was featured on one of the tracks. Shout out to Tomo, man. He always working. But it
yeah,
was
yeah. I seen a lot of collaboration on the album, and I think the production, like you said, was very good. And then something you mentioned earlier was how relevant it was to
yeah.
everything going on. I just wanted to throw that in there. Like, I really noticed that you already hitting on a lot of the points that I took note of. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so you came ready. So you I mean, you already had this in the making for a while, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, since around like I guess last January, or even maybe even before that, like around because I guess the oldest song was No Saviors, which I wrote in 2019.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe like yeah, like September or so, 2019.
Okay, okay, that's what's up, man. I wanted to say to you before too, like normally when you put out an album or a project like this of this sort, you're supposed to give like an advance copy to the media.
Yeah.
And I'm the media, bro. What happened? You didn't you didn't let me know about this. Like I found out afterwards and I was just like, oh shit. Like I was very happy, very proud and shit. But I'm just like, yo, damn, I didn't even this was like totally out of left field for me. But at the same time, that's why I also am so happy to see you continue to put out music because I've always told you you're one of the best, man.
Word, nah, I appreciate it. I think like to your point, like this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited for this project. Why I was so like excited to kind of put this together was that this is my first project while working with Thrill, which is a management services I guess like company organization out of Mattapan, and like those are the homies, like you know what I mean. So like this was like the first project that anyone's released like under Thrill. And so as we're getting like it's basically like a startup, as we're like getting started with all the like management services and like consulting services. Like this was supposed to be kind of like a coronation of that, like just an introduction to the world of like what Thrill has to offer. So we're definitely a little rough around the edges with it, you know what I mean? So I definitely hear that. We definitely, I feel like as we move forward, there's a bunch of other artists that are working with us now. We want to just be able to continue to like put stuff out and like put out like those press kits, you know what I mean? So that people have it, you feel me? Like just in advance and putting together those like press releases so folks can like not even just like hear the project in advance, but also just like help promote it if anything. So definitely got you,
Yeah.
bro.
Nah, nah, good looks, man. You like I said when we was recording, like I never forget about you, man. Even if we go a couple months without necessarily talking to each other all the time, I know you doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, but I
Big
feel
fact, yeah.
like ever since the beginning, like ever since the inception of everything, like we've always kind of been in line with each other. You know what I mean? When I had a big spark in my career, you also had a big spark in your career, and vice versa.
Facts.
You know, so like even when we weren't working side by side, we were working side by side a lot too, as many people may not know.
Facts.
Um, but like even when we weren't, we were always putting something together and finding success. You know what I'm saying? So again,
Yeah.
I'm just really happy that that project came out, and we'll get into it now in a couple minutes. But it was fire, bro. It was fire. Like your skills and your talent has really improved, and you were already
Thank you.
very talented and very skilled before.
All right, bro. I appreciate that. It's definitely a motivating factor knowing that like you and like all the people that we used to like be with all the time like are still just going strong and doing their thing, moving forward in their different facets of life and like their different creative endeavors. It's just so fire to see. It's always something that motivates me to just keep going.
Hmm.
And even like one of the things that I said like on the project was like, you know what I mean, for all my people that were doing everything, it's just like I really miss y'all, you know what I mean? Like everybody's doing their thing. So it's like a way that I can just celebrate the time that we spend together. Like you said, it might not be like as consistent, but it's still like, you know what I mean, it's always gonna be all love like all the time.
Yeah, yeah, for real. And it's like you said earlier too. It's just been so long. Like when you really put it into perspective how much time has passed, like there's gonna be a lot of unsung heroes, you know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean, that
course.
we've worked with in the past that were either, some really good rappers or some really good producers, but like everyone, like you said, is finding their lane in whatever that may be. So
Big facts.
success to everybody is definitely around the horizon because that's all it's ever been, the type of environment we've created, especially you and me because I
Yes, sir.
consider you and myself both leaders, like ever since we was young, like we known each other since sixth grade, bro.
Yeah.
Like and we've always been like high level thinkers, even if we was maybe bumping heads at a
Yeah.
time, like we always was high level thinkers and like could see steps ahead before everybody else. So the fact that we're in this position right now, I don't think is any surprise. And
Yeah, not
I
at all.
and with your music, it's only gonna go farther. But something I did want to ask you, bro. Now that we can start getting into the album, we did do your first project. Remember with Jared, you already mentioned him
Hmm.
while you was talking. Gosh darn it, which was also fire.
Yeah.
What was it like, working on this project, Human Guile, versus that one? Like, what was the differences? Was the similarities?
All right, I think like the Gosh Darn It project was like that was such a unique experience because I had all the beats already and I had like all the like lyrics already written. So I basically just put it to the studio and recorded it like in one day, just got all the songs done and then just like
Yeah,
came
I
back and like,
remember
yo,
you was ready to go.
yeah, it was like that was just like I feel like that experience was so dope for me because it just showed me like how far preparation could take you. You know what I mean? Like if you come in and you're prepared, like as prepared as possible, you can really get a lot done. And that was like almost like an entire day's worth of work that we put in that day working on Gosh Darn It, and then transitioning into Human Guile. I didn't have like everything written when I started going into the studio, and I was like I felt like unprepared to some extent. Like the first studio session that I went into, I brought Tomo with me because I was gonna like, I was gonna split the time with him. Be like, I paid for the session, but like, he's trying to work on a project. I'm trying to work on a project. Let's share this time. Like, I go and record what I have, and you record what you have. Because like neither of us were like, fully. We hadn't delved into our projects too much. We didn't know exactly what we were gonna talk about, any concepts, and like, So I was in there. I recorded a couple songs. I think the first song that I recorded was actually Honor Roll, and then I was just like, now that I have this recorded, I'm not really sure like what I want to do with this project. If like the concept that I have in mind even is like as solidified as I want it to be. And we ended up recording We On that day. And well, me and Tomo, after we recorded that, I was just like, all right, I know exactly what this is about to be. I know what I need to do. And from that day on, you know what I mean? I came into the studio, like I had like maybe like, I think 7 more sessions past that. And then each session that I came in with at least like 3 songs to record. And then I spent like the last session just touching up like any flubs or anything that I wanted to just improve on, and it was dope. And I think one thing that was super different was just working with other people. Like like the Gosh Darn It project, like it was like me and Jared, like that was it. And then Muck made the beats, but like this project, I had features, I had like collaborations from people who were like vocalists, which is something different from like any song that I worked on. Is the first time I worked with like vocalists on a track, and also just putting together like all the lyrics. Like that's one thing that I was like super proud of is that outside of Tomo's verse, like I wrote like the scripts for the skits. I wrote like the entire like all the songs. I like
Hmm.
produced some of the beats. Like I arranged them. Like it was wild. Like everyone I was singing on there was like, yeah. I was just like, wow, this is really dope. Like having these like lyrics brought to life. But like I really like sat there. I had to record demos. Like we're not like singers like that. You know what I mean? So recording the
Right,
like references and
right.
stuff, I'm just like, I don't know. But it was like it
Yeah,
was just
we,
so
we
dope.
do we do the rap good. We don't do the sing that good.
Facts. Like you know what I mean? So it was very different. I feel like I feel like gosh darn it was very necessary for me to get to the point where I'm at now, and all the things
Yeah,
that I learned from like that experience and all the things that I've learned working on different musical endeavors in between now and then really just helped elevate this project and get the completion of it to the point where I wanted it to be, which is dope.
word, word. Yeah, I feel that, and again, I can see it through the music because, and you already mentioned it took you time to develop this project,
Yeah.
whereas gosh darn it was something you came in already knowing exactly what you wanted to do, top to bottom.
Mhm.
But I feel like this one still flows so well, and the
Thank
way
you.
it's put together with like each song to each song, like it's fire. Like I got you mentioned some of the songs already, but I have a list here that were some of my favorites, like Carousel. I think that
Word.
one in particular, and No Sleep too. But it shows just how versatile you are with your rap, and like how you kind of have that old school feel, but at the same time with the new age because you're lyrically gifted, but it also, I can't find the exact word, but like it bumps, it sounds good,
Yeah.
it's uplifting, it's like an upbeat type of sound, and I don't know, like just again top to bottom, I know it was 14 songs, but it was the intro and outro, so you really had 12.
Oh, dude.
I think every single one was incredible, bro.
Thank you.
And
Really
you got
appreciate
some
that.
singles on there, bro, that should be on the radio.
I mean, I've been talking about it. Like, I feel like I'm trying to get. I gotta get like book another session with Josh so I can get like the clean versions. You know what I mean? That's also I think was different. Like on Gosh Darn It, I didn't really like swear like that. On this project, it was kind of just like it is what it
Right,
is.
right. Nah, yeah. But again, that was a fun experience. Like I remember that like it was yesterday. Yeah, I mean, you came in the studio and you really did deliver on even that project. I know that was a shorter. That was like a EP, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and this one is an album. But this one brings me back to those days when like every song on the album was fire, and you didn't need to skip none. You feel me?
yeah.
Like
I
now, I
appreciate
feel like
that,
that's
bro.
very scarce. That's very scarce nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. It's like there's a lot of filler content on albums, I think. And like even like this project, it was gonna be like a lot longer than it was. Like I have like almost like 30 minutes worth of content that I just was like, it doesn't contribute to the story. It's not like the progression is not. I just don't want to like throw people off with like additional content that's unrelated.
Yeah,
And so I feel like I definitely wanted to make a whole album full of like album cuts. You know what I mean? Like songs that should be on the album.
yeah, yeah. Did you have more songs that didn't make it?
I did, yeah.
Are we gonna get those in the future?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've been talking with Throw, like, Steph from over there. He really wants like a deluxe edition or like an extended version to drop. You know what I mean?
Hey, hey.
But we have to see about that. I might have to drop the Snyder cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's
right. Yeah.
like,
Well, how'd you feel about the Snyder cut? A little bit of a tangent.
I
You're
liked it.
here, so I
I thought
gotta
it
ask
was
you everything.
no, it's facts. I liked it. Like I thought it was cool. Like I mean, I really love what they did with Cyborg in that movie because like that's one of my favorite DC characters, and just seeing him brought to life on the screen in the way that he was brought to life was interesting. I think his story, like his backstory, was really like it was way more fleshed out, and I really appreciated that.
It was better than the original.
Yeah, I think so. I
I
like how
agree
it was
with
split
you.
up
I
too.
just I have to force you to say it so
Yeah,
the
no, it was
viewers
definitely better than
have
the
it on
Whedon cut.
record.
I feel like Joss Whedon. He's a very creative person. That the original Justice League movie that dropped just wasn't it. I wasn't a
Right,
huge
right.
fan. I thought it was okay, but like Snyder cut is to me is just so much more. It's like the lore that was being built feels so much more fleshed out, and it feels like the start of like something epic. You know what I mean? Or at least like the culmination of everything that had been done before into like the start of this
So
like
far.
world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I feel what you're saying. Nah, it was definitely better. Do you have a favorite DC character? Is it Cyborg?
I mean, I'm one of the Batman people. I feel like I love Batman since I was young. Just a very interesting character. But Cyborg is a close second for me. Just because it's kind of like that, like just going against like the grain type thing, where it's like this dude is like a jock, also like super smart, also just very like caring and passionate, also just want to help people. I thought it was just fire. Like Cyborg's always been a character that I've resonated with a lot, and like he's often depicted as black, so it's fire. You know what I mean? I mess with that.
Yeah, right. I feel like it's funny you say that because some of those themes you just brought up are what I took from your album. Like you might have had your own vision you were trying to
Mm,
paint, of course, and everyone is gonna have a different perspective on your lyrics. I think your music lends itself well to that. But to
yeah,
me, the biggest things I took away from your album was like white power and black ignorance, and it makes me think back to like when me and you were going to the like the not the riots, I don't want to say, but like the protests, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And all that was going on for George Floyd, and now we also have it happening again in the same city just a couple weeks ago.
Facts, yeah.
It's just like it,
Dante,
it
right?
makes you think. It makes you think, and was that something you were going with, or is that just how I took it?
Nah, yeah, for sure. Like I really this album. I remember when I dropped "Gosh Darn It." There was only like really like one like political reference on that entire album, which was like a reference to like Donald Trump, where I was saying like he's like an orange freak and he's tall. And I remember I posted it on Reddit, and like a dude was like, "You should like," he's like, "Yo, you're so talented. You should really keep the politics like out of the rap because like people won't listen to it. People don't like that." Like it like really like
Mm.
hinders your sound. And I remember hearing that, and then also like continued to make other songs, and then someone telling me like you make like protest music, and I'm just like I don't know what any of that means, but you know I'm just like I feel like I need to lean into that and like accept that like I'm like a member or like a part of this movement, and the work that was like I was doing over the summer with some of my fellow organizers in different spaces. It really helped me recognize like the power of community, and like
Mhm.
why it's so important that we have like people in our community who are like willing to speak out and utilize their voices in a way that other people might not be able to, or utilize their craft in a way that folks, just to get the points across that folks might not be able to relate just through like speeches or just through, I mean, just physical action, And so like you said, like I'm a rapper, and I wanted to bring to life like my experiences through my rhymes. And I feel like other people they do it in different ways, but I think it's all necessary. So I definitely agree. I think that was really like the embodiment of it is like how we can move forward with this movement. It's like there's always that quote where saying like the work or the job of the artist is to make the movement irresistible.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I leaned into for this project.
I know you don't like to compare yourself to other artists and other rappers, but where would you rank this among other albums coming out right now? Like not necessarily all time, but just like right now.
I think like
Don't be modest, Nate. Don't play around because this is the nasty podcast. It's not those other places. So
Nah, I feel you. I think like what you mentioned earlier, like I rank it like high among them. Like I put this album like kind of like on the same platform as I would put like you know Good Kid, Mad City from Kendrick.
mm,
Like I think like you know that's an album that I feel like follows a very like linear storyline. And I think because of that, it's like very similar to my album in that way. And I think the what I got from that album that always stands with me even to this day is just how like talented as like an artist Kendrick became from Section 80 to that album, Good Kid, Mad City, and then even moving forward, like continue to develop and get even better. And I feel like it's like a similar thing for me from Gosh Darn It to Human Guile. It's like I'm able to do so much more now, and I feel like so much more comfortable as like an artist, not just as like a rapper. You know what I mean? Like I'm like there's vocal
right.
lines on there. I have to like harmonize with different people on there. It's just like getting like again just writing those songs, and arranging the entire project. Even like one thing about it that I like, I try to keep on the low that people don't really like know about, but I've been getting questions about is like all the like skits and stuff like that. Well, the intro and outro, and like anytime you hear like a voice that's not a song, like that was like me doing like the engineering for that. You know what I mean? Like I had to like bring those to life in those skits and like work on all the different like parts of that. It was a very different experience, and I feel like I developed as an artist. So I put it up there with like Good Kid, Mad City. You know what I mean? I think it's definitely better in my opinion than the albums that are dropping like recently from
Mhm.
at least in like hip hop. A lot of the hip hop albums that I'm listening to that people are
That
excited
opinion
about.
is facts.
I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, no, I definitely think there is a lot of objectivity to music. I agree. I think there's better. That's what we mentioned before about like filler tracks and like every track on this album is like an album cut. It's an album. It's not just like a compilation of songs. It's not
Mhm,
just
mhm.
what I mean like a like a posse like a bunch of posse cuts or a bunch of like records like that. It's just this is an album. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and like you know me, because I've done a lot of mixtapes.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Where I've done exactly that, just put together a lot of tracks, whether they're mine or other people within, the family. Like you've been on a lot of those.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like where this kind of stands out is in exactly that. And something I want to mention is how I've really seen you embrace the activism beyond the music.
Yeah,
Like album aside, music aside, but now you've really incorporated the music with that.
yeah.
So, even if somebody is out there saying, like it's too political or whatever, like
That's real
forget
life.
that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like it's real life. Like the world
Yeah,
is too political right now.
yeah.
It's really what it is. So again, it's just relevant and it's reflective of everything going on. And you know me, like I'm into all that stuff.
Big facts. Yeah,
I'm always talking about it. I'm always trying to promote that type of message. So to see you do it in music, it like it was just so cool for me to see because I haven't put out music in a while.
Mhm.
I was doing a lot of music before, but that was something I always wanted to do. Is exactly what I saw you just do,
Word fire, bro.
and like flawlessly. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got to tip my hat off to you, and that's why once I heard it, I was a little late. I'm not gonna lie, but once I
I'm
heard
sorry.
it,
It's been like a
I
week, bro.
immediately, yeah, no bullshit, no bullshit. But as soon as I heard it, I reached out to you immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like I was
Yeah.
like, we gotta talk about this. We gotta get back on it because that's fire. And on that note, what are your future plans as far as music, but even as far as activism and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I hope to continue to work like within my community on like uplifting the voices of those who have been marginalized, including myself, just different groups. One thing that um I wouldn't be able to make like this album if it wasn't for the work of like my peers and like the people who I like I said, like the album is like dedicated to like the ancestors that came before me and people
Yeah,
that really
yeah.
like put in the
Big
work.
message behind it.
Big facts that put in the work, you know what I mean, to like get it to the point where I could be here today. And so in order to like honor their sacrifice and honor the work that they put in and their lives as well, just moving forward, I hope to continue with my like organizing work, not just like doing it in a like superficial way. Like, shout out to a lot of people that are doing like organizing. I know a lot of people like pull up the stuff and they do like their photo shoot and whatever. But it's like for the people that actually doing the work, like I'm with them. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like the flashy over the top stuff. It's like the behind the scenes work as well and like the policy work. There's so many different facets of it, and I wish to be a part of like as many of them as I can and continue to do the
Yeah,
work that I've been doing and continue to make music. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be releasing like another album anytime soon. You know what I mean? But like I will be. I'm working with a lot of different types of artists right now, trying to bring their like help bring their visions and sounds to life through production work. Like I'm not really a producer. Like that's never been like my thing, but people were like impressed with the production on the album for the songs that I did produce. It was only two on there, and then like the rest of them I had like co-production on No Sleep, and then I produced Chosen and No Saviors. But I think people were
okay.
really yeah, I think people were really like interested in just how that process came about. But I'm working with a lot of like R&B artists right now, trying to like bring their sounds to life, and hopefully
Yeah, I
that's
saw
something
that
that
on Streetlight Symphonies.
yeah.
I
Yo,
really
Kareem's a
liked
force.
that one.
Yo, Kareem was really a legend. He produced like he can sing and he can do all that, but he really be producing. Like he's a force. Like he produced what songs did he produce? He produced The Brink and he produced Lost, like both parts of that
Oh,
song at the end.
okay.
He's a
I like the
force.
Bring too. That's the Breonna Taylor joint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was hot. That one was hot.
Yeah, nah, Kareem's a force, yo. Shout out to that man. Yeah, he's a real legend. Roxbury legend, man.
Yeah, nah, that's what's up. It's very impressive, and I think like a lot of people should be listening to this right now. That's why I thought it was very important for me to do this episode, like to get as much promotion as possible. Because don't you feel like a lot of times this type of music doesn't get the type of airplay it should?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like anything that has like I feel like it's a lot of times it's like very overt in its message and people don't really or at least like the mainstream like media and stuff like that it can kind of be, subject to criticism oftentimes. So they're like, just stay away from it. I definitely
Yeah.
agree.
What's the idea? I like how you said message, but what is the idea behind the cover art? You want to talk about
Ah,
that, explain that a little bit? Because I got my own theories, but you're here, so I figured let's let you say it yourself.
got you. The cover art, I'm very proud of because there's so many different nuances of it, and it's like you would never know for real unless you were there or like I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about it. So I guess this is the perfect opportunity for me to talk about it. Like
Word, word.
as you know from listening to the project, it's there's a stage production that's taking place, right? Like a play or a musical, that like I'm like starring in as playing like this character who doesn't have a name, but throughout the project they're known as like their handle on social media, which is like at who is Iconoclast. Um,
Okay, okay, yeah, I was hearing that.
yeah, and so like this character is who you see on the cover, standing there in front of like this door, and the door is like it has like those lines and stuff on it. It's supposed to like emulate curtains, so it looks like they're standing in front of like these red curtains with a spotlight being shown on them.
Hmm.
Now this is like a flat picture, but like the way that the spotlight is kind of like shining down, it looks like the spotlight is almost like hitting it at an angle, and you see like the shadow coming down, so it looks like the camera is almost like tilted a little bit. You know what I mean? But really, it's just like a flat picture that we just took. And then there's this is was taken in front of the church that I used to attend when I was younger in Roxbury. This church is called Resurrection Lutheran Church. I don't know what they be doing now, but I know that like part of my like upbringing was like really like wanting to like deviate from like traditional religious standards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like this church really like pushed me into that direction. Not saying like they weren't doing that because they were doing that in the church. Like this church, like they had us listen to like Jesus walks. Like we was really getting lit. Like it wasn't even just like you know what I mean Sundays. It was like almost every day. People wanted to go to church because it was just like a good time like with the people, and it wasn't like overt like religious like overtones or whatever. It was just like having a good time with your people, and it was just don't really swear like that because we're in the house of God type. You know what I mean? It was like whatever, but it was a good time, and that reminded me of like that's what I wanted to recreate with this album is like the way I felt going into church. Where it's like I learned a lot there, but I also didn't feel like I was being like anything was being forced down my throat, or I was being like forced to
yeah.
believe anything.
It wasn't
Um,
overwhelming.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Especially for like younger kids. Like I know that like being indoctrinated into like different religions is something that like, people complain about now. They're like older, you know what I mean? And it's like, that rebellious like effort comes out. But it's like I was never really I just can't relate. So it was like this is what I wanted to bring to life. And then, the spotlight is kind of like emphasizing that this is like a one man show type thing, which was something that was like a conflict of interest on the project. With the stage manager or director just being like, "Yo, get off the stage. This is not. You're not supposed to be doing this. Like, this is not your show. This is like basically saying it's like his show." And for me, it was just like, "Nah, it's not." The mask that's above my head is supposed to be like the mask that I'm like wearing on the album or on stage. The
Yeah.
character's wearing. And I think it's like we had to really like find that mask. Like we had to like go through and like pick out a bunch of different ones and like figure out like what we wanted to do with this mask. And we ended up going like a masquerade ball type mask, kind of like going with the theme of like, we're almost like this is like a dance that we're doing. It's like
Yeah,
a
like theater.
exactly just wanted to emphasize that like the theatrical aspect of it. And then as you know, like in the hoodie or in the like me wearing the hoodie, that's the most recent Myth Boston drop. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
yep. You can plug it. You can plug them.
Yeah, facts. Shout out to
Shout out
Boston,
Tomo.
LA, man. Facts. Myth Boston really fire, bro. You know what I mean? And I wanted, as you know, like we went to high school with Dodson and in middle school as well. So it's like bringing this to life and wanting to put this as a part of the album cover. That is also, shouting out the city in a way and like planting the album in a visible way in the city. Like this is a Boston story. This is something that's taking place in Boston without me necessarily having to overtly say that. I don't even mention like Boston at all on the project, but it's like I want people to know, like from looking at the cover and from like really like listening to the album, certain lines, to know that this is like a Boston story. So that's kind of like the cover art. The last thing I'll mention also is that, as you can see, like I'm like looking directly into the camera, and I have this, like I said, the church is behind me, and I'm wearing the myth for the gosh darn it cover. I was in the exact same location, and I was also wearing a myth hoodie, and I was
Mm,
also looking directly into the camera. And I wanted to kind of just like again just show where I was. It's like it's different. This is a very different Nate. This is a very different project, but it's still a lot of the same, person that I was bringing to like
right.
brought to
It's
life
the
here.
same essence.
Exactly.
I like how you explain that. Because you have to kind of know to get it, which I think you said something along those lines when you started.
Yeah.
Was like if you weren't there, you won't really understand it too much. But it's like I feel like so much in the music that I was hearing, being someone that has known you for a while, like it did feel so authentic. Like I'm hearing some of the stories how like you was talking about your upbringing and like what I mean, like being going to school or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, like he's not lying. Like you know what I
I was there.
mean?
No funny here.
Like to take people back, you know what I mean? Like our senior year, It was
Yeah,
funny because you and me in our English class, we used to sit at the back of the class together.
yeah.
But you and I were always late for
Facts,
for completely different reasons. Like you were doing your thing, I was doing my thing, but we would always just show up super late, if at all. And it was
facts.
just like damn, man. So when I was hearing you talk about a lot of that, again, it was just so authentic to me. Like I hear a lot of people put in their music, things that they ain't really experienced or they ain't really go through. So it's much more meaningful when it's something you actually did go through, and you have
Yeah,
people that can vouch for it.
big facts. Yeah, man, it's an experience. I think like one thing that I think again, like going back to what you had mentioned earlier about what makes this project different from other stuff, or even like better in some cases than other things, like other projects that are dropping, is that it is very authentic. Oftentimes people are like playing these characters and they're like bringing these things to life, but it's like it's not really true to who they are as people. Like this project, I'm like intentionally like playing a character, but it's blurring the lines between reality and like fiction. You know what I mean? Not
Right,
saying
right.
any of the things
There's a
that didn't
purpose behind it.
exactly like everything that happened is true, but I'm still playing this character on this project. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it's just a different type of thing. Like you said, it was a different type of experience bringing this to life. It was very
Nah, I feel
thankful.
you. I feel you. I'm not trying to gas you up, but like to me, that was very much along the lines of like Eminem quality
Oh
of like the way you rhyming and putting the words together and the content at the same time and then delivery. Um, it's just fire, man. And again, like that's you are one of the people that kind of opened my eyes to even some of that music too, like Childish Gambino, and you brought up Kendrick Lamar too.
yeah,
Cause remember a couple years ago when we first started rapping, like I was a little closed minded about that. You know what I mean? Like you used to tell me like,
oh
nah,
yeah,
nasty, you gotta check it out. Like this music is good too. You know what I mean? So now hearing you do it and then, obviously having had those conversations, I can definitely appreciate it much more than, what were we like, 18, 17
yeah,
then?
17,
Like
18, yeah,
but yeah, it's fire. And something else I want, don't get mad at me when I bring up this little story right here. But I definitely wanted to bring it up because again, it's a credit and a testament to how much you've improved.
yeah,
You might remember back when you put out. I don't know if that was necessarily your first song, but I know it was one of your first major drops. Was All Alone,
yeah,
and you know how we used to be. We used to push each other.
yeah, big facts.
ASGF, shout out ASGF, shout out everybody
Man, you already know,
during
man.
that time. You feel me? But you and I in particular, I feel like used to push each other a lot.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, you did this good, but you gotta do this better. You know what I'm saying? You and I
that's
very
it.
much had that type of camaraderie with each other. Um, and like I remember I used to tell you like, yo, Nate, like, it's fire, but it sounds generic. It sounds
Yeah,
kind of generic. And at first you didn't like that. You was
I'm
like,
a
what? Like, there's no way it's generic. Like, but then I remember what, a while later you came up to, he's like, I kind of do feel what you were saying, Nasty.
facts. Yeah,
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because nothing in this album is generic. No song is generic. This is completely like something I've never heard. It's one of a kind. And again, like it's only a testament to your growth, but also it's like a signal of more to come. I hope. I know you're gonna
yeah,
continue to have more success in your music if you keep at it. And it's just like, damn, like people are not putting out this type of quality, and especially this early, like in their career. If you look at your whole spectrum of what you've done a lot.
yeah,
Don't get it twisted.
yeah.
I'm just saying, this is your first real debut album and really your only second project,
Mm.
like solo project, and like the growth from the first to the second is like exponential, and it's just like, damn, people don't know what's coming. People don't
Yeah,
know what's
man.
coming, Nate. So you better not stop.
Nah, I appreciate it, bro. And I think like I definitely like I was talking to Jordani about this. We had like a small kind of
Dan
like
Sandwich.
you know what I mean? Facts. Yeah, shout out ASGF man, Dan Sandwich man. wow. But I was like telling them, I was like, like y'all really like when we first started rapping, like it was like one of those things. Well, when I first started rapping, because I know like you were doing it before me, and like same thing with like Frankie, and it was just like that. Like I was me and Jordani and Sid. I guess we were like the last ones that kind of joined the like rapping like party, I guess. And it was just like you guys really like helped me, like push me to just continue to keep going. Like there were always gonna be times. There's always gonna be times where you like don't want to do it anymore. You're not really like feeling it. But like seeing like you said, it was like a healthy kind of like camaraderie, and like competition that really like fueled me to keep going and just
Yeah,
continue to get better. So like hearing like the feedback that like you had for my tracks, I had for your tracks, it was just like that basically like taught me what it was like to just work alongside others and want to continue to push and motivate the people around you to be better as they continue to do the same for you. So like what I mean?
yeah,
Like I really can't thank you enough, can't thank like them enough. Everybody just like all the roles that we played in like each other's journey. I feel like you said, there's always gonna be like unsung heroes, but it's like nah. Like I want to make sure that you in particular like get your flowers for that because like that's really how I operate now on like a consistent basis with the people that I collaborate with. Is like we want to be better, so we have to push each other. You know what I mean? Like it
right.
doesn't always have to be a competition, but like I need to make sure that whatever you drop next, like I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Like the same way
Dogs,
that
yeah,
you know what I
like
mean.
I'm straight up with you, you know.
Yeah, big fact. The
I
same way that you were with me and I was
I
with you.
I really appreciate you saying that, man, and likewise, like I feel the same way because I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like back then, when I would do songs, I would I would of course want to like you said competitive. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta really go hard because Nate just put out All Alone, like so I gotta put something out crazy. But it was also like I wanted to impress you at the same time. I wanted you to be like, yo, nasty, like, yeah, that was pretty fire. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
it was both like so again, I'm glad you felt the same way, but I want to thank you as well for creating that. Even though I'm not really rapping now, it's still something that helped me get to this point, regardless. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I like how you shouted everybody out there too for ASGF. That's like a mentality I tried to carry though. Even when I started, the Nasty brand with Santana and B,
yeah.
like that's how I was on then. You can ask them like no homo. I used to be on their ass. You know what I mean?
Right, nah, I feel you.
Like
Yeah,
about
it's really,
everything. Like
really how you gotta
like
be though.
but yeah, it was always positive. It was never like I'm gonna make you feel like negative
Yeah,
or like I don't like what you're putting out. It's just I want you in particular to be the best that you can be.
yeah. Big
But
facts,
yeah, I
man.
guess couple more questions like as we start to wind down. It's been dope talking to you, bro, and
Yeah,
getting to
bro.
hear that perspective. Like it's been a minute, fam.
Facts. Yeah, I was gonna say like this is dope. This is like catching up, but also just like what I mean, just being able to like support each other on like these levels. You know what I mean? With like the podcast, the album is just like this is fire.
Fucking yeah, like I feel like I said at the beginning, like we've always kind of been on the same path, no matter what we were doing. But like
Mhm.
you and I, no matter what it was, I felt like we always crossed paths.
Yeah, big facts.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like no matter what it was, like I just been doing wrestling videos with my
Yeah,
brother because he's about to start up his own wrestling podcast. So
fire.
that was something you and I used to get
Nah, big
into a lot
yo,
about
that was
back in the
funny.
day. How you feel about WrestleMania right now?
I like a lot. I like the format. Like I know a lot of people might not be a fan of like the 2 3 hour shows like back to back days, but I think it's better than what they had been doing. Trying to put together
Mm,
like a 5 6 hour show, 7 hour show for one night. I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm not really for that. Like I love seeing Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks night one main
yeah,
event.
that was
That
good. That
was
was good.
Sasha Banks is really like water in there. Like that's like I don't know. She's not my favorite wrestler, but like top five for me. And I mean, I'm like a huge fan of Pentagon Jr. That's kind of like who I've been rocking with for like the past like 5 years. But I really
Mm,
I even like still like Pentagon's not in WWE, but I still got love for WWE watching the program and like stuff like that.
Yeah,
WrestleMania
nah, I
was
know you're a big
like,
fan, bro. I know you are.
facts.
Um, and then also like how many movies you and I done went to go see with Santana, like in the movie theater, like back when
Yeah,
that was a thing before COVID. But for
yeah.
all the listeners that don't know what that's like we used to go
We
see
was in there
mad movies, bro.
like
Like,
every weekend. We was in there.
didn't we see the first Avengers?
Yeah, I was about to say like that was like I think that was like the first movie that we all saw together. Like you know what I mean? That was an experience.
And damn, it's been 10 years since then.
And that theater was packed. It was like people
Yeah,
sitting on the floor, bro. People sitting on the floor, like yo, they really, yo, it was. That was. I'm telling you, that was a different type of time.
yeah, it's crazy. Like those were even theater hopping days because we would go early and see
Yeah.
movies all day.
Yep.
Just go to the next whatever next movie we want to see. Just go to that theater after, like after we bought the first ticket. Like, or if the shit was sold out for what we wanted to see, just buy a ticket
Like
for
tickets for
another
something
movie and
else. Yep.
still go to that theater.
Yo,
Like we was ruthless, bro. Like,
all I say, he was like, we was gonna see it by any means. Like, yo,
yeah. I'm at this theater. You're not gonna tell me I'm not seeing you playing it on that
you
screen.
know
I'm
what
gonna
I mean?
see
I see it. Yeah, yo, it's a fact.
Oh man, no, that's what's up, man. Fucking what would be your like your message to other artists? I know this is like a very cliche thing to ask, but you have to ask that to every artist when you interview them. Is what would they say to other artists that are trying to get to that position and get themselves on?
I would say just work on your craft to the point where you don't have to like fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? Type thing.
Mhm.
Like I think oftentimes like
Cause you
people
got to
move
do that
very
a little bit at
yeah,
first,
you do.
right?
You definitely do. You got to move like a little like industry and like kind of just do what you got to do in order to get people to listen to you, get your foot in the door. But like once you're there, like just know that like people are gonna accept your music for like what it is. Like even if like for example, right? Like I work with like in the studio that I go to a lot now, like out of Mattapan, like I said in Throw. Like I don't really listen to the type of music that's being produced there all the time. But like I see the grind and I respect the grind like so much that like it even got me like listening to their songs. It's like
Yeah.
they're making like these psychedelic kind of like almost like trap songs, and I'm just like, wow, this is like not for me. Like you know what I mean? But I'm hearing it, and I'm just like, I see them in here like every day. Like these like younger kids, like they're like 19, 20 year olds, like like 18s, and they're like in there daily working, like mixing their own stuff, producing their own stuff, like rapping it, like, and I'm just like, yo, this is like very impressive because they're like nonstop with it. They're not gonna just stop doing it just because like they don't have as many streams as someone else. Like they're just gonna keep working. And I'm like, I'm a fan. Like I'm gonna listen to this because I see the work you're putting in. You know what I mean? So I would just say like put in that work so that like people will be impressed with your effort and they'll be impressed
Mhm.
with like your production and they'll be impressed with your gains like as you continue to improve. You know what I mean? Just do your thing until like people can't deny you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's profound, and you embody that on Human Guile. So people need to go check that out. That's available everywhere, right? YouTube,
Yeah.
like it's on Spotify and all that as well, right?
Yeah, it's big facts
Uh,
and like it's dope. I'm excited to start working on like the visuals for this project. Like we dropped the Attaboy video,
yep,
which
I
was
saw
really
that.
dope. Like shout out
Was
to
very
everybody that
good.
helped. All right, thank you, man. Like everyone that helped put that together. Like just shout out y'all, man. Like and for the like featured people like Tomo, Jacory, and Sophia. Like they really helped me like bring that to life. Um, and then like Cam directed it with Miguel, fire. But I just want to just I'm excited to just work on the visuals for this entire thing. Like I feel like some of the songs really like need music videos. You know what I mean? Just to continue to tell that story.
Yeah, I remember something you told me like back in the studio, one of our studio sessions, like way back, was like I don't think you necessarily said it to me, but like we were all just talking and you kind of just said it and it stuck with me. Like you was probably talking to B or something.
Mm,
But you was like, I make music so that anybody could listen to it, like even my mom.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And like that stuck with me, like you feel me. So again, with the authenticity, but just like it's accessible to everybody. It doesn't turn anybody off too much, you know. because they
Yeah,
can at least appreciate the message behind it, even if the music or the style might not be for them. You know what
yeah,
I mean? But like if the content or the effort was the word you use,
yeah,
if that is like very obvious and shows, then I think anybody can appreciate art because that's what it is at the end of the day is art.
yeah. Big
If you're
facts.
taking it seriously, you know.
Yeah, that's I think that's the key point is like people can tell like when they're listening to your music whether or not you took it seriously or you were just kind of doing whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No doubt, man. I guess the last question I asked you is there anybody in particular, any group that this album was for? Like, is it dedicated to anybody? Like, what's up with that, man?
Yeah,
This is your
like
window.
this is the time. Yeah, I made this album. One like fun fact is like one of the marches that I organized this summer with an organ or like late spring with the organizing group that I work with now. Um, on the song "The Brink," like that's the voices of like those femme organizers that I was working with. And, like one of the people leading the chant, her name is Doba, and that's like her voice on that track, like leading that chant. And like also on No Sleep at the beginning, like where my like kind of voice is overlapping with the like the protest kind of like chant sounds. Like that's like me
Yeah,
leading that chant like in real life. And like I like pitched it up a little bit so it sounded a little more like animated. But I was like me and like all those people and like I really wanted to just dedicate this album to like the movement in general, but like the people that kind of helped me along my journey of like finding myself as like an organizer or as like someone that's like fighting for liberation more consistently. Cause like do my work like I work with like artists mostly, so I'm like working with like youth artists, getting them to like tell their stories in a way that's like meaningful to them, um, and igniting like social change through arts. But like this was like on the ground work, and it was very different for me. So that was kind of like who I dedicated the project to, like all the people that I organized with. Like I said, the ancestors, and then I also mentioned my nephew, who's like, yeah, I mean, one of the people that I mentioned on the project as well. Um, Knowing that like all the work that we do now really is like you have like younger siblings and you have like nieces and nephews and stuff like that. It's just like it's all for you know, planting those seeds. You know what I mean? Like we might not be able to like experience like all the benefit that's gonna like come of like the work that we do now, but that's worth it because like it's setting the next generation up for success. Um,
right, right,
and so that's kind of like how I feel with like my nephews. Just like I'm putting this out so that people have so that your name and like for the work that you do in the future is like more solidified just off the strength. You know what I mean? Wanted to like create like a legacy for him off rip
hmm
without even having even do anything. Um, and then, like I said, I dedicated the project to like my mom, my grandfather who passed away in the winter or the fall last year, um, and my friend Sophia, who's like also someone that helped me like put this album together. Like she like all the like songs that I was putting together, like I would like send her like all the like drafts and the demos and be like, yo, like what do you think about this? Because she was like honest, but also she's one of the people that I organized with, and she made sure that like whatever I was saying wasn't like there was like a level of like authenticity to it. It's like I don't know, that doesn't really sound like something that you would say. And I'm not really like what I mean type stuff, and I'm just like I feel it, I'm with it, and yeah, that's kind of like who it was. But I definitely wanted to shout out everyone that was on the project, Kareem for Streetlight Symphonies and making those beats. Like I telling you, like when because I've known Kareem for a while, like 5 years. When he sent me the beats, I was like, I didn't even know he made beats. I was like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you make beats too. Like this man be rapping, singing. I'm like, man, really just trying to take over the game. Like, it's not really fair. I'm not gonna hold you. It's kind of you need to relax. You know what I mean? He's taking all the talent for everybody. I'm like, yeah, this is a force. But shout out Kareem. He's like legendary. To Lee and Nolly, who were like two of the other vocalists that I work with for like playing like the muses on the project. Um, you know, like it's just fire. Like being it, like the way that especially on the last or the second to last track, Lost, that ending portion where they were like harmonizing with each other, like that's like my favorite moment on the entire album. Like that was so much. It was fun to like orchestrate that, but just getting them in the studio and hearing them do that was like something that was like a very different experience for me. It was almost like an out of body experience, just being able to kind of like listen to that while it was happening. on their individual levels. It was just fire. Ja'Cory or XO Shakim, you know what I mean? Like that's one of the people like, I believe in like peer to peer mentorship. So I feel like I don't really like mentor anyone, but like we mentor each other in a way.
Hmm.
And like he's like a fire artist, you know what I mean? 19, he just turned 19. And so working with him has been like really like a privilege because we need to like continue to like assist him along his journey of like his development as an artist. And also he dropped a project called Memorial Drive that I was featured on the week before like my project dropped, which was like also really dope just to be able to see, you know what
I
I mean,
think I
from
saw that on your Instagram or something.
yeah, he like he doesn't drop. Like it was like one of those things where it was like he'd been talking about dropping this project for almost like 2 years, 2 full years, and he finally did it. He was just like, man, I want to celebrate you and just make sure that you know, like people are gonna be supporting you regardless, and you got like the support behind you. Yeah, Memorial Drive short EP is fire. Tomo as well for like the production and just
Yep.
like I said, like every time like I was unsure about like what I was gonna do in the studio, Tomo had no problem like pulling up, not to like guide me on the songs, but like to record something like just to get something done. And I was
Yeah,
like, you know
no,
what I mean?
he's good. He's a horse and he works.
Facts. It was
I
like
got a chance to work with him a little bit as well. Like Tomo's very good at that, man.
he's the ones that get this stuff done. And like that like work ethic inspired me to just continue moving forward with the project. Even when I was unsure about something, like knowing that like I could get it done, I just have to put in the work to make sure that it happens. So it was like many like sleepless nights, just like working and like just working on like demos or like references and then sending it out, being like, I don't know, this is your beat, what do you think? And like just getting the responses back. I'm like, it's like 4 a.m. You should probably be asleep. But like nah, he's just working. Like I'm like, yeah, this is fire. Like you know what I mean? This is a different type of energy. So definitely shout out to Tomo and Josh, Jared as well. But Josh, like who engineered the project like in full, like shout him out because like a lot of the stuff, like especially towards the end, like I had to record like some of the vocals for some of the songs like on my own, not like my vocals, but specifically like Nolly's vocals. Like I was in my office, I was like, yo, just come through. I got the studio equipment. I'm gonna record you, get this stuff done. He was there until like 3 a.m. just getting that stuff done. I sent it to him the next day. He was
Wow.
like, work on it today, and he was like doing it for free. Like by that, like at the end, just working on those songs because like we've been working on the project for like maybe like 6 months at that point or like 5 months, and he was just like, all right, I want to make sure I see this to completion, so I'm gonna work on
Right,
it.
right. See it
Send it
through.
exactly. And I was like, this is fire, dude. So Josh a real one. So shout out to him and like shout out to Thrill, everyone that helped make the project come to life for real. Cam and Steph, um, Cam for like the marketing like promotion stuff, and then Steph, I mean, well, Cam for like the creative direction, and like Steph for like really like the marketing, specifically, and like just motivating me to like just put stuff out as like an artist and not like just sit on the content that I have, really putting together like a full length album. So shout out to everybody from Thrill, Brandy, I mean Shelly, Shamir, everybody. It was dope. Everybody's fire.
For sure, man. For sure. It seems like a lot of people, help put the work in to make this come to light, and that's exactly the type of environment that we need. Everybody helping each other. I mean, there's a lot of talent in Boston.
A
I
lot.
I know I know I ain't been out there as much, like before, but like, that's always gonna be the hometown. You feel me? Beantown. And that's
Okay.
where there's a lot of legends that are just, quietly sitting up the street, you know what I mean? Nobody even knows it.
Yeah.
So we gotta do what we can to put each other on. And you and I have been doing that for years.
Yes, sir.
Nate, I wanna thank you so much for coming on the episode, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, big facts, yo. Appreciate you having me, dog. I'm mad excited. Like I feel like this is gonna be something that is really dope. Like just for the culture,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Not like
yeah.
just for the culture, but like for the culture of Boston. Like it's fire.
Right, right. And as you know, like, I'm gonna keep going, man. I just did 100 episodes. I'm gonna
Yes,
try to hit
sir.
100 more.
Yes,
So
sir.
you know what I mean. So you better come back and talk about some comics with me or something. You know what I
Got you,
mean. You
bro.
got into cyborg and all that just now, but that's not what I brought you here for today. So we
Yeah.
couldn't get to it. We couldn't get into that too much. But nah, it was dope, man. It was dope. I'm really excited to go back and listen to it as well, and for everybody to just get a chance to listen to the album and hear for themselves. So before we get out of here, let them know one more time just where they can find the album and where they can find you as well on social media and all that.
Got you. So the album is called Human Guile. It is out on all streaming platforms, iTunes, Spotify, even on SoundCloud. It's also available for purchase and streaming on Bandcamp if you're interested. Over there, if you buy it on Bandcamp, there's like a special kind of like prelude, kind of like that leads into the album that you get. It's exclusive to Bandcamp, only available
Oh,
on Bandcamp right
nice.
now.
That's
Yeah,
dope,
so
bro. That's dope.
yeah, we're gonna be dropping merch soon over there, so definitely stay tuned for that. But my name is Nate Nix. You can find me on social media at Nix Nation. That's at NICSNATION. On Instagram, Twitter, and then also on Facebook at Nate Nix.
Word, man. Once again, Nate, thanks for joining us.
Word.
It's gonna be a hell of a rest of the year for you. I know your career is only at the beginning. You know what I mean? You ain't even reached the start of what you can truly do. This is just a small taste, right?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, bro. And I'm definitely like interested because I think like with the podcast stuff that you're doing now, like there's a lot that's going on. The podcast scene in Boston is booming right now. So you're in
Yeah,
for,
man.
you're in for a wild year yourself, man. No funny.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna keep trying. Fucking, you started up one yourself, right?
Yeah, the Rhyme and Reason podcast.
Dope, dope. You better keep that up as well, man. Get
Facts. We about
get
to
get
get
some
back
part of
into it
that
this month.
revenue, man. Don't leave no money on the table.
Facts. Yeah, man. It's about to be big,
but
man. We're gonna be moving.
but yeah, man. As always, it was so much to talk. It was so much to discuss, and this is definitely one of the best projects of the year so far. My favorite of the year so far. You all need to check it out. Nate, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. You're always welcome back whenever you like. We're gonna keep it up, like you said. To the
Okay.
viewers, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay woke. As always, guys. And thank you for listening. Peace out.